Welcome to the Worldwide Herbalife Premier League Training Series featuring Eric Worre. Please be reminded to click your interpretation button and please, no recording. The chat feature is enabled today to solicit your feedback. Make sure you subscribe to the Premier League channel now on Instagram at HLFCEO. Now, let's welcome Eric Worre.
Thank you, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's nice to hear you, nice to see you. Hold on. Am I up? Am I on? This thing working? Give me 1 second, everybody. Give me a second. Oh, hold on. Are we there? Are we there? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Put a 1 in the chat if you can see me, you can hear me. All right, fantastic. Good to see you. I'm so glad we have the chat instead of just the emojis because I want this to be an interactive conversation today. And whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, welcome. I'm excited that you're here. We're going to talk about how to go from conversation, which is what we talked about in week 1, to exposure, to be able to introduce what you have, the opportunity, introduce your products, introduce the business to those prospects, and to do it in a professional way, even if you aren't a professional yet. So I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited that you're ready to go. I'm excited that you're committed to your success. And throw where you're from. Where are you from? Put it in the chat. I saw, just as we were starting, a lot of different countries. But look at all these different places. Fantastic. A lot of different places. Let me give you some announcements as we start. First of all, let me just tell you, we're going to go full 90 minutes. Okay, so we're going to go 85 minutes from right now, and then we'll be done. Maybe earlier, but probably not. There's a lot I need to cover to be able to turn the conversations that you've started into exposures so people have a chance to understand what it is that you have. Okay? So, full 90 minutes. This is going to be a game changer today. I'm telling you. It's going to be an awful lot of fun as well. So, replays for last week. Replays and handouts are available in English everywhere. Spanish translations are up as well. Localized replays and handouts on Herbalife Premier League are coming for Europe and Africa and APAC. They're either available or will be available this week. So we encourage you to join the call in person whenever you can. If you can join the call in person, it's quicker for the next calls. As we move forward, we're figuring out a process to be able to do this, because we have some AI translation process established to be able to keep up, okay? We're doing, the company's doing the best they can. When it's like 56 languages, it's a very unique challenge. So attend if you can in person. If you can't, the replay is going to be a little bit delayed. And if you watch on replay, here's what I would encourage you not to do. Don't just binge watch like all 3 of these trainings, like back to back to back. Whenever you watch that first session, I would encourage you to follow the instructions and the challenge in that first session for 7 days, and then watch the second one, okay? And then do that for 7 days, and then watch the third one. You're going to get better results than if you just treat this like some sort of Netflix series, okay? Understand? We do have, well, I'll get to that in a second. I want you to take notes here, and let me tell you why I want you to take notes. There's no way you can keep up with those messages. You have to keep clicking that button. Is that really a real thing? Okay. Behind the scenes stuff here as we're going, so you can tell that we're live. Here's why I want you to take notes. One reason for you to take notes is so you have the information when you need it, when it's time for you to go do whatever it is that you need to do, whatever step is required for you to be able to be that professional and help other people. But the second reason, and maybe even a bigger reason, is if you have this information, I want your notes to be like a teacher's manual. So if you have your notes from all of this and you sit down with somebody else, that you can take those notes and you can teach someone else what I'm teaching you. That's my wish. My wish is that you take this information and then you pass it on to as many people as possible. And you can pass it on better if you take notes. Would you agree? All right? So if you're going to take notes, put a number 2 in the chat. You're going to take notes because you're going to go out and duplicate this. Yeah? All right. So, Herbalife Premier League, let's just recap as we start. Here's how you qualify. I'm going to do this very quickly because we don't have a lot of time, and we've talked about this before. If you have any questions, go to your back office, go to myherbalife.com, click on the Herbalife Premier League button. That's going to take you to get all the information that you need. Here's how to get signed up. Here's how to get qualified. And the sooner you qualify, the sooner you have access to all the benefits for the rest of 2024 and for 2025. And you see all the asterisks at the bottom, everything else, the perks and the benefits from gifts and recognition to events, exclusive training. I cannot wait to work with personally in a small group, the Premier League people from around the world, the qualifiers from around the world, and deliver advanced leadership development training, because leadership's everything. The stronger you are as a leader and the more leaders you have on the team, the more stable your organization tends to be. So it's like earners are temporary, leaders are permanent. And this is just the beginning of all the perks and benefits. There's a lot more to come. And as they mentioned at the very beginning, we really want you to engage and follow the Herbalife Premier League channel on Instagram. Go to HLF CEO, follow for program updates, recognition, and announcements. Currently, this is English only. This is going to continue to expand around the world, but go join, stay connected. If you're more connected, you're going to have a better chance to be able to at least know what's happening in the company and share that with your teams. So get connected, make sure your team's connected. Back to the training schedule and topics. Last week, we talked about filling the funnel. Filling the funnel. Getting as many people into conversation as humanly possible. As many into conversation as humanly possible. This week, we're going to talk about introducing Herbalife to your prospects. And I'm going to focus on introducing the business to your prospects. I think you're already pretty good at introducing the products, but I want to teach you how to introduce the business, how to, and once you introduce them, you expose them, you educate them. This week is all about teaching people what you have, educating people on what you have. And then next week, once they've become educated, how do you start enrolling them? You can call it closing if you'd like, but how do you help somebody enroll? I never want you to persuade somebody to do something they don't want to do, but I want you to be professional in helping them make a decision. How many of you have somebody who's thinking about it, but they can't make a decision? Put a 3 in the chat. If you have somebody thinking about it, they can't quite make the decision, but they're thinking about it. Well, next week, I'm going to help you get past thinking about it and into taking action. Okay? So, and then April 23rd is radical duplication. If you struggle with duplication, this training is going to help you a lot. You have to have at least one new frontline distributor enrolled sometime this year in order to qualify for that training. You can't just get into that training. You have to have at least one frontline distributor enrolled. Your deadline for that is what? I'm showing April 23rd deadline. Sorry, April 18th. April 18th is your deadline. So you have until April 18th to get your person enrolled. And with the training we're doing here, it shouldn't be any problem. And the fifth training is going to be the first ever Premier League Advanced Leadership Development Training. That's going to happen in May 21st. And that's going to be for all the Premier League qualified people who have 10 and 2. But for this very first one, we're going to let people who are partially there be part of that training. So if you have at least 5 personally enrolled distributors who have at least 250 volume points since January 2024 through May 17th, that's the deadline. You have until May 17th, then you'll be invited to be part of that first ever Premier League Advanced Leadership Training on May 21st. Okay? So that is the schedule. And let me just recap last week. All business is conversation. All business is conversation. There's 4 things that we do. We sell using word of mouth advertising. We recruit. We duplicate. And we lead. These are the 4 fundamental things that you do in building an Herbalife business. And our goal is education and understanding. That's our goal. Our goal is not necessarily to make a sale. Our goal is not necessarily to recruit someone. Our goal is to educate. Isn't that easier? To just realize that all you need to do is educate people. And once they understand what you have, it's a yes or it's a no. It's no problem. Education and understanding. This took the pressure off me so much because I didn't consider myself a salesperson. I didn't consider myself a recruiter. But I could educate somebody. I could take somebody who was ignorant and help them become knowledgeable. I could take somebody who's blind and I can help them see. And that's all I wanted to do. And once they were able to see, then they could make a decision. And we had a conversation challenge this last week. I asked you to go out there and start as many conversations as you could possibly start and to keep those conversations going. So I want to ask you, how many conversations did you start? Put in the chat. How many? 100, 400, 15, 850? Wow, big number. Look at all these. See, my goal, there was 122,000 people that were watching last week's training on live, not even counting replay. And it looks like we hit our average of at least 100 average. So that means 12 million people, approximately, if I were to estimate, 12 million people are now in conversation with Herbalife distributors. Now, what can we do with 12 million conversations? Today, I'm going to teach you exactly what to do with all of those conversations. So congratulations. I want to take you back to Mark Hughes for just a moment. He taught you to do 3 things. Who can put into the chat, what are those 3 things? Anybody tell me? Use the product. Wear the button. Wear the swag. Wear the brand. And talk. What does talk have to do with week 1 of our training here? Conversation. Now, there's different ways for you to represent the brand. We have social media today. We have other methods for you to be loud and for people to understand that you're involved and create conversation starters. There's lots of ways to be able to do it. But use, wear, and talk holds true today as much as it held true 44 years ago. So, Now that you've started these conversations, one thing before we get into part 2, this is not a one-time thing. You started these conversations. It's not a one-time thing. You're not done starting new conversations. For some of you, how many of you had more conversations with prospects in the past 7 days than you have in a long time? Put a 7 in the chat. How many of you had more than a long time? Look at all the 7s. What is that law? There's some law. Once things get into motion, they tend to stay in motion. I wasn't a very good student, but I think now that you're in motion, your ability to stay in motion is going to get much, much easier. And I think you probably noticed once you went through 10 conversations starting, you went, oh, this isn't so bad. I can do more, and I could do more, and I could do more. But it doesn't stop today. You filled your funnel that we talked about last week. Part of your job is to keep the funnel full. You don't want to fill it up, dry it out, empty it out, fill it up again, empty it out. Just keep pouring it in. Keep pouring it in, because you'll always have plenty of people to talk to and people to educate, okay? So keep going. The conversation challenge doesn't stop. So now let's get into part 2. How to introduce Herbalife to your prospects. What are we going to do with all the conversations that you started? What are we going to do with all of these conversations? Here's the first thing that we're going to do. We're going to look for what I call the pivot. The pivot. We're not to follow up yet, Lilia, but we're going to look to pivot to a business conversation. We're having normal conversation, and then we're going to switch gears. And we're going to say, all right, I have something to talk to you about. You built some rapport. You're ready to go. You're having a friendly conversation. And the pivot, what is pivot? It's probably not translating well. It's just you're going to convert. You're going to switch. You're going to adjust your conversation to a business conversation. Does that help for all the translators? Divert, maybe, Matt says. Shift is another good one. You're going to change direction. That's another good one. Thank you for all the different ways. I'm using my English language, that I like to use. So for the translators, please hang with me as we get through all of this together and figure out the language. But we're going to transition. That's another one. We're going to transition. That's a good way to say it, to the business conversation. Now, there's two ways that you can make this transition. One is from them to you. Some of them have already probably asked you, so what are you doing? What's going on in your life? What's happening with you? And if they come to you, and I'm sure some of them have already done that, you have an opportunity to transition the conversation, and begin to invite them to learn more about what you have. So some of them are going to come to you. Not all of them are going to do that. For some of them, you can go to them. Let me give you some of my favorite transitions. If you've been talking with this person back and forth for a week, pretending you don't have a business, pretending you don't have any product, you're just talking, you're building rapport, you're being a real human being. A week later, like this week, you can go to them and say, you know what, I've really enjoyed our conversations over the course of the last week. And I just realized I've got something in my head that might be crazy, and I want to share it with you, and it might be totally out of left field, and you can disregard it if you want, but I can't get this out of my head. I think you might be a good prospect for something that I'm doing. or I'm working on a project, and in our conversations, it struck me that you might be interested in something like this. See what I'm saying? So you can like, hey, Kim says she just did this. So if they come to you, that's a transition point to be able to start inviting them to understand what you do. Not to sell, not to recruit like crazy. We're here to educate. Or you can go to them. Hey, I've got this business. I have this project. I'm expanding a business in this market. I thought about you. When I thought about, people that might be a good fit for something that I'm doing, I thought about you. Okay? So you can transition the conversation from them to you, or you to them. Okay? Or you to them. Yeah. I gotta get my hands right. From them to you to them. Understand? So you're going to look for this. If it doesn't happen naturally, if they don't ask you, then you can create it. Right? You can ask some questions. You can get a little bit more specific about their business. Let me give you a good example. One of my favorite pivots, my favorite transitions, my favorite shifts, whatever you want to call it. Okay? Here's one of my favorites. Have you ever thought of I'll start over. Have you ever started your own business? It's one of my favorite questions. Have you ever started your own business? And they're going to give you a yes or a no. So all of you role play with me. You be my prospect. Have you ever started your own business? There's a lot of yeses, there's a lot of no's. If they say yes, then I'm going to say, how did it go? How's it going? And what are they going to tell you most of the time? It's hard. It's hard. It's really hard. Times are changing, costs are up, it's very difficult. Most of the time, they're going to tell you it's hard. How many would agree, those who have started a business, that owning your own business is difficult? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree that owning your own business is difficult. Most of the time, you're going to get that it's hard. Some of them are going to say, it's amazing. See, what works about this conversation is no matter what they say, I have an answer. If they say, it's amazing, my business is amazing, then I'm going to say, fantastic. How many locations do you have? How many cities are you in? How many countries are you in? And they go, oh, no. I just have the one location. Oh, why just the one location? And then have them answer. Well, because I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the support, I don't have the reach, it's too complicated, and I don't understand the language in the other country. You see where this is setting up? So if they say yes, then how's it going? They're going to normally tell me it's difficult. Why is it difficult? It's difficult because it costs more money. I have to babysit employees. They're going to give you a list of why it's difficult, but ask them. Ask them why it's so difficult to run their own business and let them tell you. Okay? If they say it's going great, then how many locations are you? How many cities are you in? How many countries are you in? How many employees do you have? How big is your reach? And they're going to usually say pretty small. So if they say small, why? They're going to give you another list. Okay? Now, let me ask you this. Do you have a solution for a business owner that has difficulty? Does Herbalife have a solution for a business owner that has difficulty running their business? The answer is yes. Do you have a solution for a business owner that has difficulty expanding a business outside of their local market or outside of one location? The answer is yes. So this is a great transition. Now, if you ask somebody, have they started their own business, and they say no, what do you think my next question is? Why not? Why not? Why haven't you started your own business? And they're going to say, I didn't have the money, I didn't have the time, it was too risky, didn't have a good idea. I mean, they're going to give you a big long list. I got to take care of my family. I couldn't, I would have had to say, it would have been too scary. I'm too intimidated. Now, for somebody who's intimidated, who doesn't have a lot of entrepreneurial business skill, does Herbalife have a solution for those people to be able to start in a way that is not so scary, in a way that they can go step by step, in a way that they have support, in a way that is flexible with their time? Right? Do you have all that? The answer is yes. So, whether they say no, haven't started their own business, or yes, they've started their own business, and you find out why or what's going on, and even if they're successful with their business, how much have they expanded it? No matter what happens, you in Herbalife have a solution, a potential solution for them. At least something to explore. And this is something Jim Rohn used to say. In today's world, you should be examining all ways of entrepreneurship, all avenues of entrepreneurship. And he would say, I'm not saying Herbalife is the only one, but it should be on your list of opportunities to evaluate. And if this is not a fit for you, I would encourage you to keep looking. I would encourage you to keep searching. But you should at least explore this. Because no matter what they say in this transition, if you ever started your own business, you say, I'm going to give you one of the most magical phrases in all of network marketing. You ready for this? If I, would you? If I, would you? So if you go to someone and you say, have you started your own business? And we get into all that stuff. Let's say they say yes, and it's difficult, it's challenging, and I'm not making any money, and I have to babysit employees and all these things. You can say, if I could show you a business where the product was taken care of, the support was provided, training was provided, it was flexible around your schedule, you didn't have to walk away from your job, you could do it part-time. It's available to expand in other countries around the world, 95 different countries around the world. If I could show you that such a business existed, would you at least be willing to take the next step and learn a little bit about it? Yeah? If I, would you? If I, would you? Same thing. If they say, no, I haven't started a business, why? Because of this. If I could show you a business that solved those problems that you struggled with and kept you from starting your own business, would you be willing to take a look? This is one of the most magical phrases that I've learned in 36 years. If I, would you? please make sure that you use that every time you get to a point where a person is ready to go to the next step. If I will give you this, would you be willing to do this? If I shared this, would you do that? If I gave you a link to this, would you watch it? If I shared some of the products, would you try them out? If I introduced you to somebody, would you have a conversation with them? Right? If I, would you? So, I want you to pivot the conversation, either them to you or you to them. One of my favorites is, have you ever started your own business? And we talked about how you can use that conversation in order to be able to take them to the next step and begin to educate them. Next, I would encourage you to pivot off the platform. Wherever you started having the conversation, if you're texting with them, I would encourage you to go say, do you have a minute? Can I call you real quick? If you're on WhatsApp, can I call you real quick? If you live in the same town, can we meet for coffee? Whatever platform you started on, pivot off the platform. Do everything possible when you're trying to educate somebody to get either voice to voice or face to face. You'll have much better results. If you stay on the platform where you started, and those of you throwing political stuff in the chat, I understand your passion. We're going to have a business conversation here, okay? So let's keep the conversation a business conversation and have all the passion of everything else in other places, okay? Thank you. So voice to voice, face to face. Pivot off of wherever you started and get to voice or face to face. If you do that, you're going to have better results, okay? So you understand? You're going to transition off the platform. First, you're going to transition the conversation to business. Second, you're going to transition off the platform, voice to voice or face to face. Next thing I want you to understand, one of the most powerful tools that you have is to tell your story. Tell your story. Some of you might think you don't have a story. And now, again, I'm going to give you a 4-part process to tell your story that will keep you compliant, because sometimes in our excitement in the network marketing profession, we can get a little carried away. And we can start sharing things that happen to us that are not typical. And we need to be very careful with that and keep what we are sharing typical. And in terms, let me just take a second and just talk to you in terms of disclaimers and, what do they call it? You guys have a document. The document is, you guys probably already know it. The statement of typical earnings, right? That's the document, the statement of typical earnings. Don't be afraid to share the statement of typical earnings. Don't be afraid to put the proper disclaimers on or involved in the conversation that you are engaged in. Do not be afraid of that. I'll give you an example. The United States, there's only 2 countries in the world that allow pharmaceutical companies to advertise prescription drugs to the public. Do you know what those 2 countries are? Those 2 countries are New Zealand and the United States. Those are the 2 countries. United States and New Zealand. Now, do you think the pharmaceutical companies in the United States are mad that they have to put disclaimers on everything. If you've ever seen something in the United States, the disclaimers are crazy. You could die, your head could fall off your shoulders, you could have suicidal thoughts. I mean, you cannot believe what's in these commercials. But do you think they're mad that they have to do that? Or do you think they're happy that they're allowed to advertise to the American public? They're happy. They're okay. And the public's okay with the disclaimer. If you put out a disclaimer, if you went, I don't have it with me, one of these weeks I'll show you. If you went to go join or purchase a McDonald's, which in this company obviously you wouldn't, but it's a disclaimer packet this thick that you have to sign, and you have to transfer all of the risk. You have to accept all of the risk, and they take no risk, and it's McDonald's. So you have to sign that, and you have to spend a lot of money. So would it be okay? You don't even have to, but would it be okay or even credible if people in Herbalife, prospects in Herbalife, had to sign one page of documents that says, I agree, I'm taking the risk. I agree, I've read the statement of typical earnings. I agree that this is my own business. I agree it's going to be dependent on my own efforts. I agree, I agree, I agree, I agree. Sign it. Would that be such a terrible thing? People are used to that. When you go to the bank to buy or sell a house, how many things do you have to sign? Don't be so afraid of disclaimers. Don't be so afraid of talking about typical earnings. Don't be so afraid of these different things. Just release that. Which is more credible? Everybody's losing weight, everybody's getting healthy, everybody's getting rich, and it's all happening really fast. Or, here's the statement of typical earnings. There's risk involved in any business. This is an entrepreneurial business like any other. It carries risk. You need to proceed with, caution. Which has more credibility? Which one is more realistic? Which one would business people actually accept? Intelligent people would take the second one, and I'm glad that you agree. So don't be so afraid of it. It's actually great. Okay? So I'm going to teach you how to tell your story in a way that is compelling, but also compliant. Okay? And for me, I found out, this is one of the first things I learned in my network marketing career, is how to tell my story. And once I learned how to tell my story, my confidence went up so high because I had something to do. When I was in conversation with people, when that transition point came in the conversation, I could say, could I just tell you my story? And I had something to do. I knew where to start, and I knew what to do. And having structure really helped me. Okay? So I'm going to give you 4 parts to telling a story. And if you write this down and learn this and practice this a bit, you're going to do well. Part 1 is your background. What is your background prior to Herbalife? What is your background? Put it into the chat. What is your background? What did you do? A student, a chef, medical, nurse, teacher. Look at this. Everybody has one. It doesn't need to be magical, but you got your background. Part 2, what are some of the things that you didn't like about it? I mean, no background's perfect. What are some of the things that you didn't like about it? Part 3 is that you found a solution. You found a solution to some of the things that you didn't like through Herbalife. And number 4, how you feel about the future now. Doesn't need to be about income, doesn't need to be about any kind of crazy results. Just how do you feel about the future? So I want you to think about this, and I'd love for you to get in a small group or have a small Zoom with your team and Practice telling your story to each other. So let me just use teachers because I saw a lot of teachers in this chat. And what's funny is I was such a terrible student and now I'm kind of a teacher. It's ironic, I know. But let me tell you what I know about teachers. They're underpaid for how hard they work. They live in a very political environment. They got to watch their back all the time. No matter how hard they work, there's only so much money they're going to make. They have to deal with ungrateful students and demanding parents that are absent a lot of the time. They're a little bit of a slave to their passion, which means they know, the system knows that teacher will do what they need to do to be able to help those children. So they'll reach into their own pocket and they'll buy some extra supplies for those kids. They'll take them on those field trips. They will do other things that other professions will not do because they're so passionate about seeing a child light up, right? Am I accurate? Am I pretty close, teachers? So, if you talk about your background, that's one thing. You talk about what you didn't like, that's the second thing. If you end there, you're just complaining. But if you go to step 3, is I found a solution. I found a way I could still teach, but I could own my own business. I found a company that would support me. I found a place where I was celebrated instead of just tolerated. I found something that got me excited to get up in the morning. I found a company I could believe in. And here's how I feel about the future now. Now I'm excited. Now I'm hopeful. Now I'm moving forward. Now I'm not saying you don't have to hate your work. That Herbalife can be your second business for sure. But if this is your second business, then maybe your work that you're doing is not paying you enough money, or Herbalife helps you with a different part of your life. So, you see how these 4 things go? Here's my background. Here's some of the things that I didn't like. You found a solution, and how I feel about the future. Do you realize all of this is compliant? You don't need to talk about how much money you're making. You don't need to talk about how much weight you're losing. You don't need to talk about any claims that are not typical claims. You're going to use this to build rapport. And if we are together, and when we are together, extravaganza, I'm going to have you actually do this with each other. And I'm going to ask you a question first, and we'll role play it together. But for sake of time, which of these 4 that's up on the screen right now do you think is most important to the prospect? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Which do you think? I see a lot of 4s and 3s. Here's the answer. Part 2. Part 2 is the most important. And it's not even close. It's not even close. It's when you share your pain that you connect to another human being. You share your dissatisfaction, you share your discomfort, you share your disappointments, you share your challenges. You show that you're a real human being, you let your guard down. That's when a person leans in. When you're too cool and you got the answers to everything, if you just talk about your background and yet you found Herbalife, people just aren't really listening. But if you talk about your background, what you didn't like, you were struggling, you were disappointed, whatever, then you found a solution, and here's how you feel about the future. You can do this in less than 2 minutes, no problem. But lean into what you didn't like, and you'll find that your connection with prospects will change dramatically. Okay? This is going to take a little practice. it's plan, do, review again. You're going to get better, plan, do, review in order to be able to do it. But if you learn these 4 things, you can do it everywhere. When you have coffee, tell your story. When you're on the phone, tell your story. When you get on FaceTime, tell your story. When you're doing a training, tell your story. When you're doing a Zoom, tell your story. Use this structure, you're going to get great results. Okay? This is really, really, really important. And we'll circle back to it in a moment. But next thing I want to share with you after your story, once you get this, all I want you to do is ask all of you, will you practice telling your story using this 4-step process? Put a 4 in the chat, please. Practice. Tell your story to your dog. Tell your story to your kids. Tell your story to your spouse. Tell your story to your upline. Tell your story to your downline. They probably don't even know your story. Your best friends might not know your real story. All they know is you're excited about Herbalife. Tell them your story. Okay? All right. One of the biggest things that knocks people out of Herbalife, you know what it is? When they get shut down by their friends and family. How many of you have ever been shut down by your friends and family? Put a 6 in the chat if you've ever been shut down by your friends and family. It's not fun. You thought for sure they were going to support you, and they didn't. It's not fun. You thought for sure they were going to join you, and they didn't. So what I want to do now is I want to teach you how to get support from your close friends and family this week. Okay? Would you like me to teach you how to do that? Would you like me to give you an exact script how to get support from your close friends and family? This is what I call your hot market. Yeah? All right, good. Because I can do it. I want you to follow this process. It's 7 steps. And I actually have a script for you that's going to be sent out in every language. Okay? We're going to send this out as a PDF. But in the meantime, step number 1 is I want you to contact people, and I want you to be in a hurry. I don't have a lot of time. I only have a second. Let's say you're calling your brother or your sister. Okay? You call your brother or your sister. I'm in a hurry. I don't have a lot of time. Just set up that you're with some urgency. Step 2, compliment them. Compliment them. It's very, very important. If I'm talking to my brother, hey, brother, listen, I just have a second. I know you're busy. I'm busy. But I just wanted to thank you because, you're my brother. We have our ups and our downs. But I know when push comes to shove, you've got my back. I appreciate you support me no matter what. So I just want to thank you for that. I appreciate that about you. I just want you to know that. Focus on the support, okay? Even if they don't provide support, focus on the support. So let's say somebody's always criticizing you. Even then, say, you know what? I appreciate that you support me. Sometimes you're tough on me, but even if you're tough on me, I know you're supporting me behind all that toughness. Okay? That's step 2. Step 3, briefly mention that you're involved in Herbalife. As you might know, I'm involved in Herbalife. And then quickly disqualify them as a distributor prospect. This is really important for your hot market. So I'm in a hurry. I compliment them. I appreciate your support so much. As you might know, I'm involved with Herbalife, and I'm building a business with Herbalife. But don't worry, I'm not trying to recruit you. I don't consider you a prospect. Okay? Just relax. This is not a recruiting conversation. Just disqualify them as a distributor prospect. Okay? Then tell them your story. Let me just tell you my story. Let me tell you why I did what I did. Background, what I didn't like, I found a solution, how I feel about the future. This is my business. This is what I'm doing for me. Okay? And then step 6, ask them for their support. Here's what would mean the world to me. If you're in a hurry, you compliment them, thank them for their support up front. Briefly mention you're involved in Herbalife. Quickly disqualify them as a distributor prospect. What is our goal again? Education and understanding, right? That's our goal. You want support from your family? This is how you get it. I've trained this all over the world. You cannot believe how much support you're going to get and how fast. Briefly tell them your story, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then ask them for support. There's a few different ways you could support me. And it would mean the world to me if you would support me as I'm starting my business. One thing you could do is, would you be my customer one time? Would you be my one-time customer? I'm not asking you to be a customer for forever, but if I open up a restaurant, would you attend my restaurant one time? Would you come to my restaurant one time? If you didn't like it, I wouldn't ask you to come back. If you liked it the same as another restaurant, I'd hope you'd come to mine instead of somebody else. And if you loved it, I hope you'd tell some other people and bring them back. Would you be my customer one time? And whatever that looks like for you, pick the number, maybe it's $30, $50, $100. Maybe there's a $125 little pack or something. Whatever. Pick whatever that thing would be. If you would be willing to be my customer one time, it would mean the world to me. As my brother, I can't tell you how much I would support. I would appreciate it. I'd really, really, really be grateful. So ask them to be a one-time customer. If you know how many nieces and nephews I've bought stuff from because they asked me to buy something one time? They bring over a little knife set or something, and I buy it because, they're trying it out on me. So be my customer one time. You'll be shocked. You could even let them know I'm trying to hit a certain number in the month of April. This would really help me. Would you be my customer one time? And if they say yes to that, would you also give me feedback on the product? Would you give me your story of how the product worked for you? It would really, really, really help me. I'm super curious as to how the product will work for you. You can decide which one you want to offer up to them. Okay? If they say no to that, there's other ways to support. Let's say, I don't have any money right now. Now's not a good time, whatever. I understand. Could I practice on you? I'm working on this business and I'm a little nervous. I need a friendly face. Can I just tell my little story? Can I sit down with you and show you what I have just as a way to practice? I need somebody to practice on. I just need a friendly face. That would support me. If you not want to be my customer one time, can I practice on you? And here's the great thing about practice. If you sit down and practice with them, even if it's on Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, if you sit down and practice with them, and they're entrepreneurial at all, entrepreneurs can't help but connect the dots. Entrepreneurs cannot unsee an opportunity. They're going to, and we will accomplish our goal, won't we? If you're practicing on them, we'll accomplish the goal of education and understanding. And it'll be easier for them to make a decision, yes or no, even if you're not even asking. So that's the second way they can support you. Third way they could support you is, do you know anybody else? Do you know anybody that's interested in health? Do you know anybody that's interested in wellness? Do you know anybody who's looking for a solution, looking for great products? Do you know anybody? Ask for referrals. That's a third way that they can help you. And the fourth way, and this is genius, this is powerful, this is unbelievable. The fourth option to get support is ask them to encourage you. And I would do this no matter what. If they said yes or no to 1, 2, or 3, would you do me a favor, my brother? I'm starting a business. I'm starting part-time. I'm nervous. I'm not always the most consistent. I want to succeed in this business. Would you do me a favor and just push me? Would you, if you see me slacking off, if you see me getting lazy, would you call me up and say, hey, get your butt back to work? Would you push me? I need somebody to be in my corner and hold me accountable. Will you, as my brother, hold me accountable? Because I need it. I need my brother to hold me accountable to my dream. Will you do that for me? What family member or good friend says no to that? Tell me. I mean, if somebody asks me and I say, no, God, no, come on. But if somebody asks, will you push me, please? Every once in a while, will you call me up and just remind me why I started this in the first place and tell me to get my butt back to work? So, there's 4 ways for them to support you. Ask them to be a one-time customer, ask to practice your presentation on them, ask for referrals, ask them to encourage you. Do you think using this approach will get support from your close friends and family? Yes or no? Whether they become a customer or not. Chances are excellent they're going to become a customer. And one of those steps, for sure. If they don't, you're still going to get support. You're not going to get wind in your face. You're not going to have them making fun of you all the time. You're going to have them reminding you, because now it's their job. It's their job to be part of the support team, to be your family member. You need them now. Okay? And then step 7, I want you to follow up. Follow up with your hot market. If they became a customer, follow up. If you practice the presentation on them, hey, I have this new thing the company just did. Can I practice that on you? If they gave you some referrals, follow up and ask them, have you thought of anybody else? Right? So stay in conversation with that family member or friend and follow up. Now, one last thing I'm going to tell you on this, and throw that slide up. I want you all to take a picture of this, because if you and every single person on your team does this with every single close friend and family member, the amount of support that you're going to get around the world is going to absolutely change, and it'll change in April. It'll be done. You'll go from resistance to support, just like that. Okay? But some of you may need to go back to your close friends and family and apologize. Some of you were too aggressive. Some of you were too pushy. Some of you expected them to join and you were obnoxious. Some of you strained the friend relationship. You strained the family relationship. So what do you do if you did that? How many of you have strained a friend or family relationship in your excitement? Put a 2 in the chat if you've ever done that. If you haven't been around long, because I sure did. So what do you do then? How do you fix that? Apologize. Say, I'm sorry. I was just excited. I was like a brand new little puppy running around the house, peeing in every corner. I was excited. And I said things I shouldn't have said, and I was an amateur, and if I made you uncomfortable, that's the last thing in the world that I wanted to do. I do appreciate your support. I'm sorry that I assumed too much. But will you forgive me for being stupid in my excitement and in my enthusiasm? Would you forgive me, please? Because again, let me just disqualify you as a prospect. I'm not going to bug you about the business at all. Okay? Your support means the world. Please forgive me. And you can still come back. If they forgive you, you can still come back to the 4 ways that they can support you. I'm just excited about my business. I've got my goal. If it made sense for you to be my customer one time, I'd love it. But if not, would you let me practice on you? Just practice my little presentation because I'm nervous. Do you know anybody that's interested in health and wellness and great products from a great company? Or at a minimum, would you push me? Would you encourage me? Would you challenge me to reach for my goals? Because my relationship with you is more important than my business. I want the relationship to be strong. I don't want us to have a transactional friendship that we're only friends if you're a prospect for my business. And if you felt like that, I am super sorry. You're more important to me than that. So this hot market approach, throw that total slide up again, even if you have to apologize and fix. This hot market, if you do this with you and everyone on your team does this, what do you think is going to happen in the month of April? Are you going to have more customers? Are you going to have more support? Is it going to be more fun? Even if you go repair these relationships, right? You have to do some repairing. You have to like apologize a bit. It's going to be good. You might have to do this with your spouse. Some of you. So, let's talk about the next piece, okay? So we got hot market. You understand how you're going to be able to go transition the conversation into a hot market conversation? And you're going to follow this process. Follow it exactly. Trust me, the results are going to be amazing. Next, we're going to talk about third-party tools. If we want to educate someone, using third-party tools and resources is the best way to educate. The worst way to educate is your words coming out of your mouth. So third-party tools are the way that will duplicate. If you're struggling with duplication, you're struggling with recruiting, you're trying to be the expert. And people know that you're not an expert. You have a trust relationship with people that you're connected to or people that you're having conversation with, but there won't be a respect relationship necessarily between you and that prospect. That's why you need a third-party tool. So let me show you some things. Here's some examples. 3 categories. Events. You can use events because if our goal is education and understanding, what does a better job of educating a person than an event? In person or virtual? There's large company events. There are local company events, small group home events, breakfast or lunch groups, 3-way calls, 2-on-1 calls, 1-on-1 calls using another third party, Zoom calls, webinars, conference calls, social media lives, all of those things and more in terms of events. Okay? So that's a third-party tool. Donna, come on. Stop putting in the 6 minus plus. You're killing us in the chat. So events. Donna, you don't need to do that. Come on. Tools, let me go second. So Donna's doubling down. All right. All right, Donna. Tools. Let's talk about tools. Videos is a great tool. Audios, websites, product. The product is a third-party tool. Brochures, printed material, magazines, testimonials is a third-party tool. Books can be a third-party tool. News articles can be a third-party tool. Marketing pieces can be a third-party tool. Stories, your stories or other people's stories, can be a third-party tool. So there's events, there's tools, and then there's people. Then there's people. Your upline can be a tool. Crossline can be a tool. Your friends involved in Herbalife can be a tool. So here's what you want to do. You are the person who stands between the company and the products and the prospect. Prospect here, company and products here. You stand between, and then what do? You're going to act like a consultant. You're going to find out what the person's needs are, and then you're going to use a third-party tool to educate your prospect. Okay? You're going to introduce your prospect to Herbalife using a third-party tool. Is this making sense? So throw that example list back up again. Take a picture of that, and we're going to be sending this back. Oh, Donna said her elbow was on something. We forgive you, Donna. Everything's good. We're all good. No worries. We're all family here. Everything's good. So this is just some. Let me give you the short answer to what is a third-party tool. Keep it up. Anything that's not you. If it's you, it's first party. If it's coming from something else or somewhere else or someone else, then it's third party. Anything that's not you. You're the worst deliverer of information compared to any third-party tool. Third parties are always going to be better. Okay? So you got to become good at third party. Here's the way I look at it. If your lips are moving, you should be pointing to another third-party tool. You should be reading another third-party tool, reading it to someone. You should be introducing your prospect to a third-party tool or person or event, or you should be telling a story. If your lips are moving, you should be pointing, reading, introducing, or telling a story. You're two parts. One part consultant, finding out what their needs are. The other part connector. You're connecting people to the information using a third-party tool. If your lips are moving, you need to be pointing, reading, introducing, or telling a story. And is a story first party or third party? If it's your story. If it's your story, it's still third party. It's third party. It's a story. The story is giving the information. It's not you giving the data, giving the facts. The story tells. The story sells. Use the story. All right. So your goal again, education and understanding. That's your goal. Your role, your job, is to be a consultant and to be a connector. And the third party needs to be the thing that gives people the facts. Your goal is education and understanding. Your role is to be a consultant and connector, and third party is the thing that gives the facts. So here's how it kind of looks. Here's you. There's the prospect. There's third party. So you have a trust relationship with the prospect. The prospect has a respect relationship with the third party. More than they're going to respect the third party more than they're going to respect you. Okay? Does that make sense? The trust relationship with the prospect, you introduce them to a third party. The third party gives the prospect the information. The prospect signs up with you. You understand? Now, how do you do one-on-one call with third party? You point to something. You read them something. You get on the phone when you're one-on-one. You get on the phone, you introduce them to somebody. You're constantly using other things. You show them the catalog. You show them one of the products. You have them taste one of the products. See what I'm saying? There's a million things you can do in a one-on-one that's third party. You have a trust relationship with the prospect. Prospect has a respect relationship with third party. Your job is to introduce your prospects to a third party. So we've started conversations in week 1, right? Then we're going to transition those conversations into business conversations. I gave you a process for hot market to get support from your close friends and family. And now we're going to start to educate all of the conversations using third-party tools. So there's so many different DMOs around the world in so many different countries and so many different languages. I would just tell you basically, well, first let me just tell you this. The key is how many exposures, how many people can we invite this week in the next 7 days so they can be exposed to Herbalife, to a third-party tool. You put that slide up, please. How many people can we invite? Now, we've started all these conversations. Our goal now is to get them to see something, to get them to learn something, to get them to experience something, to get them to try the product, to get them to watch a video, to get them to whatever your DMO is in your market. Whatever whatever is working in your marketplace, you want to invite them to learn more. You're in conversation, you're going to transition the conversation, and then you're going to invite to some sort of third-party tool. Now, there's 3 different invite approaches that you can use. One is a direct approach, and you only use that one if they respect you. If they respect you, then you can go to that person and say, listen, we need to talk. I'm going to meet you today. Get over to my house. Come sit down. You can be very direct with those people. Second is indirect. You're going to be asking for support or advice or their opinion, or it's a little bit more of a peer level approach. And I'm not going to go deep into direct, indirect, and super indirect today. But super indirect is they're very, very successful. So you're going to do something similar to your hot market, which is you're not a prospect, but you know a lot of people. If you can introduce me to some of the people that you know, I'll make it worth your time. Okay? So direct, indirect, super indirect. Got it? I'm not going to go deep there, but here's what I want you to do more than anything else. First of all, I have the hot market script that we're going to be sending out to you directly. What I want to have happen, because we started the conversations this last 7 days. What I want you focus on this week is how many exposures. And my end result is how can we get you some results quickly? How to get results quickly. I want you to start with easy. Start with easy. Who are your easiest customer candidates? Who are the customer candidates that are the easiest ones that you could think of. Let's start there. Who are the distributor candidates that are the hungriest, most ambitious? Somebody else is sitting on a keyboard now. Most excited, right? Most dissatisfied with what they got going on. Most open to entrepreneurial type people. Who's the easiest? And here's what I want you to do. Because there's so many DMOs, I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do, but I'm going to tell you this. Basically this. 1, tell your story. 2, do the thing. Whatever that thing is in your market, use third party with the thing, whatever that thing is. Tell your story, do the thing. 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 I want you to do that with everybody you've started a conversation with. Tell your story, do the thing. Tell your story, do the thing. Okay? Over and over and over and over and over again. Get better every single day. And I will tell you, quantity matters. The more you tell your story, the better it's going to be. The more you do the thing, the better it's going to be. If you don't know what the thing is, ask your upline. What is the thing that is working, that is educating people in your market? What is the DMO that is working? Do that thing. Use third-party tools with that thing. And you're going to get better results. Quantity matters. Tell your story, do the DMO. Use third party. Quantity matters. Tell the story, do the DMO. Use third party. Quantity matters. You understand? So plan, do, review is your friend. Plan, do, review. You're going to make a plan for this week to try and set some exposures with your prospects. You're going to do it. You're going to review it, find out what works and what didn't. You're going to get better the next time. Here's the key. Just start. I want you to write down 3 things. What's the DMO? Daily method of operation. What is the thing that's working in your market? What is the thing that your upline is asking you to do in order to be able to educate the consumer? Talk with them, find out what that is, do that thing. But I want you to write 3 things that are not on this slide. Write these 3 things down, please. Number 1, start before you're ready. Start before you're ready. Don't wait to be prepared. Just start. Start before you're ready. Number 2, don't quit. Just keep going. And number 3, get better every day. Start before you're ready. Don't quit. And get better every single day. If I can come up with any kind of formula for success in this business, in Herbalife, it would be start before you're ready, don't quit, and get better every single day. That was my formula. When I finally decided to become a professional in network marketing, I just said, you know what? I'm going to start. I'm not ready. I don't feel I'm prepared, but I'm not quitting, and I'm going to get better every single day. And once I realized by deciding to get better every single day that I was unstoppable. Who can stop somebody who gets better every day? It's pretty tough. No claims, no guarantees, but think about it. So I want to give you one quick thing, and then I'm going to give you a challenge, okay? We got 8 minutes left. How's this training so far on a scale of 1 to 10? How are we doing? We doing all right? I see a lot of 10s. That makes me happy. Good. Good. Let's say you have a tool. Let's say you have a video. I'm going to give you a script that you can use to get more people to review a tool, a third-party tool of some sort. This worked for me, and I have it for you. I'm going to send it to you in a PDF, so you have it yourself. You can fill in the blanks, okay? But here, it's 4 steps. It's very simple. Let's assume there's a video that I want somebody to watch, okay? We'll just use that as a placeholder tool. Step 1, we're back to if I would you. If you're in the conversation and you're saying, listen, I have a video that explains this better than I can over the phone. It's about 7 minutes long. If I sent you a link to this video, would you watch it? Notice I don't ask them to watch it. I said, if I sent this link to this video to you, implying I'm not going to if you're not going to agree to watch it. If I sent it to you, would you watch it? This is critical language. What are they going to say? Most of the time, they'll say, yeah, sure. But you got to let them know how long it is. It's not going to take too much time, all that stuff. You know, if you say, if I sent you a 4-hour video, would you watch it? It's a different conversation than if I sent you a 5-minute video, would you watch it? Okay, that's step one. Step two, get a time commitment. When do you think you could see it for sure? Because if they say they're going to watch it, are they going to watch it? No. Not most of the time they're not. So say, when do you think you could see it for sure? And wait for a time. And I don't care what the time is. They will give you a time. Let's say they say by Thursday. I could see it by Thursday. Perfect. Step three, confirm. So if I called you after Thursday, you'll have seen it for sure, right? They'll say, yep. And step four, confirm the next call. So what's the best time for me to talk to you or to follow up with you? If I call you on Friday, will you be available? What's the best way to do it? Text or phone? Okay, so if I sent you a video link, would you watch it? When do you think you could see it for sure? So if I called you after that time, you'll see it for sure, right? What's the best number in time? Okay? I went from getting like 10% of people watching videos that I had to like 90% by going through these 4 steps. If I sent you a link, would you watch it? When could you see it for sure? So if I called you after that, you've seen it for sure, right? What's the best number in time? All right, I'll talk to you then. I got to go. So if you call them, now you might have to repeat steps 2 through 4, because if you call them on Friday or you contact on Friday when they said, oh, text me at 10 a.m. on Friday. All right, fantastic. You text them at 10 a.m. on Friday. Say, what'd you like best about what you just saw? And they say, sorry, I didn't have time. I didn't have time to watch it. It's no problem. When do you think you could see it for sure, for sure? Give me a for sure time so we don't waste our time. They all by next Tuesday. Wonderful. So if I contact you after next Tuesday, you'll have seen it for sure. For sure, for sure. Yes. All right. What's the best way? Text or phone? How do you want to do that? Set the time, set the call. And just keep repeating. Don't get mad at them. Just keep repeating. Understand? You'll go from 10% people watching, and our goal is education and understanding, to 80% of people will watch. And we will accomplish our goal. So now let's get to the exposure challenge. We had our conversation challenge last week, and I have this script, the third-party tool script that I just went through. I'm going to send it to you. Okay? So you'll have it. The exposure challenge. We had conversations last week. How many exposures are you going to schedule this week? What is your exposure goal this week? How many appointments, how many exposures, how many videos, how many third-party tools you're going to introduce somebody to? How many? What is your goal? What is your goal that matches your dreams? What is your goal that matches your aspirations? What is your exposure goal this week? Now, they don't all have to happen this week, but you can set them up this week. You're going to invite people to learn more. You're going to use third-party tools. You're going to go through your hot market. But how many people are you going to expose to the Herbalife information this week in the next 7 days? Okay? So put the number in the chat, whatever your number is. Then you know what I'm going to do, right? You getting to know me yet? Then I want you to double it. And then I want you to double it again. Quantity matters. I want you to pick a number that makes qualifying for Premier League very difficult not to accomplish. What is the number of exposures that would make Premier League, certainly not a guarantee, but very difficult not to accomplish, even if you're terrible? What's a number that if you did that number, you just follow these instructions, your chances of qualifying for Premier League would go up dramatically? Pick that number. For things to change, you've got to change. For things to get better, you got to get better. I want you to stay with your commitment, whatever that number is. And a committed person will do the thing long after the feeling they made the commitment in has left them. So when we're done with this Zoom, you need to start like in the next 30 minutes with the conversations you already have going to start figuring out what you're going to invite them to either watch or engage with or listen to or talk to. What are your third-party tools? What is your daily method of operation? What is the process that works in your marketplace? What is your upline telling you to do? And take the conversations and lead them to that thing. And then what I'm going to tell you, let me tell you what is going to happen next week. Next week, I'm going to teach you how to enroll. Next week, I'm going to teach you how to answer every question and every objection. I'm going to teach you how to follow up like a professional. It takes 4 to 6 exposures for a person to say yes to a business. If questions have scared you before, if objections have scared you before, they will not scare you after next week. I'll teach you how to enroll, how to take those people from thinking about it to enrolling. But this week is about exposures. Last week was about conversation. This week is about exposures. Next week is about enrollment. So we're 1 minute over the 90 minutes. We're at 91 minutes. But all these different slides we're going to be sending out in all the various languages. Give us time. Give the company time. We're going to be sending out the hot market, step-by-step hot market script. We're going to be sending out steps to inviting your prospect to a third-party tool. All of that's going to be sent out to you for free. In addition, if you haven't really started your conversation challenge, then I want you to continue that conversation challenge to fill the funnel. And then our goal is education understanding. We're going to use third party to do that. And you're going to get support from your hot market this week. Okay? And you're going to get people educated like crazy all over the world. And then from there, we're going to teach you follow-up, questions and objections, and how to enroll those people next week. Don't worry about all the rest of it. Worry about education this week. We'll worry about turning that education into results next week. Okay? So I hope this training hits you at the right time. I hope you're ready to change your life. Most of you I haven't met yet, and I can't wait until I do meet you. But what I know about you, being here, being part of this conversation, being with me in this training, taking these notes, being serious about your business, tells me a lot about you. Tells me that you're willing and you're coachable and you're hungry. One last thing I want to ask each and every one of you before I say goodbye. If you're ready to give this 100%, even if you're part-time, 100% in the time that you have, I want each and every one of you to put a 100 in the chat. Even if you haven't typed anything. Unless you're driving, be careful. But if you're not driving, I want to put 100 in the chat. If you're willing to give this 100%. I'm going to give you 100% of what I've got. If you give 100% of what you've got together, we're going to shock the whole world. We're going to shock the whole world. By my estimations, we started 12 million plus conversations last week. How many of those, when they become educated using third-party tools, and when they get support, are going to join? How many? I don't know the number, but it's a big and exciting number. Okay? So, and we're going to teach you how to get the results from all of those people next week. So mad love to all of you. Go out there, have an amazing, spectacular, unbelievable week. I love you, and I'll see you soon, all right? Mwah. Take care.